This Wednesday? Wednesday? I won't be here, and I won't be here, so we're going to switch it. I have to get my schedule. It should be done tomorrow or Wednesday, and I'm going to let Mary see that, so she can advertise.
That part I didn't know.
Yeah, we'll just have Yep.
I didn't ask permission to approach the bench,
But you may.
thank you.
Jesus, we're gonna have to change that. He's a second person tonight.
Did I get there?
Something about a courtroom. Remember that guy
Oh,
coming in
yeah.
here said, I felt like I was coming into a courtroom.
Perspectives.
No, just smack him up.
This is perspectives.
Oh, Jesus.
Set this camera up.
I forgot to separate. How many copies? Oh, this is for one person.
Yeah, that's his resume.
Oh. This is from Nelson.
The gentleman that was here before.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys gonna put my grapes back to where I had Roger?
After.
Okay.
Mr. Spade, how many cameras did you bring with you?
Excuse me?
How many cameras do you have?
3.
We're only allowed one. It's posted on the wall
Yeah.
as a resolution. Only one camera.
Could I have an exemption?
No.
Okay. It gives a better perspective.
Touch that.
Needs to be long.
That'd be my height. Keep your knees up to everything.
Six pages, right? That's what you gave me, 6.
Okay. There's one, I have to get the rest of it. I forgot about certain
Excuse me.
Okay, this goes with, did I just give you that set?
Mm-hmm.
That goes with this. There's one more. Hey, doing this. you have that on there.
You ready? You got 7:30?
Right.
Alright. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. So at this time, we'll start with a moment of silence. And now we'll do the pledge to the flag, which is
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, just kidding.
Are you ready, Lisa?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll just keep handing these.
Okay. Just make sure you're ready. Alright, start with roll call.
Brenda Spencer,
Here.
Ladorn, Todd Spencer,
Here.
Andrew Mays,
Here.
Sean Yingling,
Here.
Mayor Madalena.
Here.
Alright. It says announce executive session. So I'm assuming that was to tell them that we had an executive session.
For personnel.
Yeah, for personnel. Okay.
Let's just step a time.
At what time we did it?
Mhm.
Or right now what time it is?
No, this time, the time you did the executive session.
We had the executive session from 1800 hours or 6 p.m. until 19:30, 7:30 p.m.
You're really getting confused now.
What did he say?
If you were getting confused now, using those hours after 12. It doesn't go just to 1.
And now I believe we're on to visitors.
Gerald's the only scheduled one.
Okay. I also had one question about a paper you gave me about the interviews. Where would that be under new business? If we wanted to make the one decision, that decision,
If you want,
because I'd like to add that to.
okay, if you're gonna add that to the agenda, since I didn't have it on,
Mhm.
then you have to have your council vote to add it onto the agenda.
Okay.
Would that be on when we go to new business?
Or can that be new business now, whenever? Okay, we can just do it under new business. All right, so visitors, Mr. Spade is on the agenda by letter. I believe, Mr. Spade, you requested 20 minutes to go over your tax collector stuff.
Yes, if I may.
How about we start with 10 and we'll go from there, okay? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
We'll start with the 10 minutes and then,
I'll try to go as quickly
Okay.
as possible.
all right, go ahead.
Okay. Madam Mayor, Mr. President, councilors, thank you for this privilege to address council. I have given you 2 documents, and I'll set the foundation for the first one with the ordinance. And so you have a copy of the ordinance. The first ordinance there, you'll notice the president signed it, there's the seal, there's the secretary, and the honorable mayor signed that. And if you go past that, you go into the codification, which is 194. And we want to go back to page, we'll go to page 4, of that. It's actually, this is a photocopy of the actual ordinance, and you should look at the actual ordinance to verify that I have given you a true and correct copy. 101.99 is a general code penalty. And it says, wherever violations of any provisions of the codification or the codified document or ordinance is otherwise not provided, and this is an important part of what I want to present to you, is that the fine or the sanction will be not more than $50. If you go to the next page, is the page that I want to address. And this should be addressed by your solicitor, but I'm purporting to you, you need to verify it with your solicitor, that you could use 101.99 for Article 220. This is per capita tax. This is what gives me jurisdiction as your tax officer to collect $5 from. So if you want to review this some other time, since I'm on a time restraint, I will leave this document with you. It's your personal copy, and it's something that you can address with your attorney or solicitor when you choose one. And now if you'll go to the prospectus, you're going to see I am not making a motion. I cannot make a motion. Only the councilors has the power in 1005 of the Borough Code to make motions and determine the fate of whatever. But I am wanting to do the two E's. Either we enforce the per capita tax, or this council can eliminate it. It is an ordinance. It would take an ordinance to nullify an ordinance. So I wanted to let you know in 2021, you'll see there that there was 165 individuals at a loss of $825. And if that loss was spread out over 10 years, you've lost $8,250. The school tax, 146 people didn't pay, and it was like $1,460. Their per capita is $10, if you're not aware of that. So that's, as you see the review of that, and I can give you the statistics, but since I'm time restrained, there is like 161 people that have not paid per capita tax. And if everything goes true to last year, that's going to be the number of people that aren't going to pay for per capita tax. And I think it violates the conformity to equity. It's not fair that you are paying the per capita tax and there's 161 people or 65 people last year that didn't pay, and they still haven't paid. You are using, so the next point was a motion, but the ordinance be amended to have a sanction. So the first motion was, do you want to enforce the ordinance that is in place, or do you want to eliminate it? And that is up to council. The second one, and previous councils do not control you. You are the council now, and you can do whatever you want to do. The second motion is that I was wanting an amendment to 220 to have a sanction embedded in the actual section of the codification. And however you could, if your solicitor says that 101.99 is correct, then you can tell your collector, who is Berkemeyer right now, they could collect $50 from each person per year for not paying per capita tax. The third point in your prospectus is a motion. I'm requesting motions because nothing gets done unless somebody makes a motion. And you may not want to do it tonight, that's up to you. But I'm putting it before you. I'm requesting a motion by resolution. 1005 of the Borough Code says that all appointees are by resolution or ordinance. And I can prove that textually because Section 7 of 1005 states that an independent auditor must be appointed by an ordinance. And they have done that. However, when you saw the ordinance book there, I showed you 190, the very first one was Ordinance 190. Unfortunately, it was not placed in the codification, so it's nullified. Codification means these are the ordinances you're going to enforce. And so 190 was never placed in the inventory in the codification. And if you look at the very last page, page 21, there's an error. The Honorable Mayor may not have seen the codification because she did not sign it. And that needs to be, in my opinion, it needs to be remedied. Like you see on 190 in the front, you see that the mayor, the Honorable Mayor Madalena, signed 190, but she did not sign the codification. Now, it has been long-standing, but we never know whether she vetoed it by not signing it or she approved it by not signing it. And so that's a question you need to ask the solicitor on that. My request in number 3 in the prospectus is that I would like a resolution to engage Keystone Collections Group. They do your earned income, and I have a list. The Open Records Officer gave me the bank statements from January till present, and I gleaned from that Keystones has collected and transferred to your bank account $11,725.17. Now, why would I want you to consider having them do not only your earned income, but also do your collections for the per capita? One of the things that the Keystone Collection Group can do is it can attach people's wages to get that money. So that's number 3 in your prospectus. Number 4 is we dealt with either I'd like to have consideration for my office, or I'd like to have an office here in the Borough Building. And I brought with you, I'm going pretty quick on this, so I'll leave you some time for questions. I want to show you something that is legal. This came from the County Assessment Office, if I may approach the bench, Mr. President. It clearly states here that there are 340 duplicates. This is called a book of duplicates. This is all the taxpayers, 340 of them. This is per capita tax. I didn't make these books. The county issues these books. And you'll see that there's 237 bills that had to be sent out. And I had some copies here. I wanted to prove to you that this is how I sent them out. I mean, I can scatter these. These are returns that came back. There's stamps clearly on each one of those. And I respectfully request that you pay the $94, and my affidavit is my proof. And that's also proof that there were actually that many bills sent out. And then the fifth thing was in relationship to the usage of my building. The tax collector needs a phone. He needs a computer. I appreciate the fact that you supply the program, the RAC program, and that's how I report to you from the RAC program. And we never set a price. As a businessman, I set a price of $75. That could be negotiable. But I think either I'm compensated for my building, or we have a place up here. I have been, I think in one of the meetings I showed that I am Act 48 qualified for the position of tax collector. In October, there's going to be schooling that I need to go to, or we can do it online. It costs $250 for the educational part. And I believe I can say at this point, respectfully, this is my presentation. If there are any questions, I'd be glad to field those questions. And I tried to do it really fast, so if it's ambiguous to you, I apologize. But we could meet in another time if you need to discuss that. But I think I have ample evidence that I sent out 577 bills. I am only asking for 329 stamps. And you're going to say, how in the world did you send 500? That's my secret, trade secret. I'm not going to give out my trade secret. There are at least 12 bills that were requested, and they supplied an envelope, and I gave the bills. So out of the 577, 12 of them were sent to titling companies, escrow accounts, and banks. So, and I have proof of all those if you need to see that. And I'll take back my evidence unless you want to look at them all. But this is the way they were sent out. And I'll give you my trade secret. The real estate per capita, I put them together and scotch taped them. I didn't use any envelopes. That's how I did it. Thank you for your time, and I would respectfully ask that those motions be addressed at some point. I'm glad that most everybody was here. I tried to look at the idea of...
On the,
yes, go
if we
ahead.
would switch to the Keystone, does that cost the borough anything to?
Nothing. But what I'm asserting in that is the people that have not paid the capital tax, they pay the fines. However, there is no fines. You know, I mean, if a person paid per capita right, it would only be $4.90. Right now we're in the face mode, which is $5. And if they, after September 30th, I believe it is, then they're in a penalty stage where they pay $5.50. But at the end of the year in December, that goes to whoever you choose as a collection agent. And I'm stating that we should get at least a minimum of $50 fine on top of the fact that they missed the penalty stage. The penalty stage ends in December 31st. So and I'm not clear, and I've never seen it in bank statements, whether the county after, they haven't sent any, what they have collected, like there was like $10,000, no, $9,000 left over that people didn't pay real estate. Now they put a $50 fine plus, but we have no provision in the codification that we want some money back, you know, in fines. And I can't imagine anybody, okay, I'm sorry, Tom.
If we would happen to make a motion on switching to the Keystone, is that something we'd have to do now, have to decide on the fine cost, or is that something then that Keystone does for you? Do they decide what the cost of the fine would be?
Well, you're gonna have to, the solicitor's gonna have to rewrite and insert your sanctions.
All right, so we could actually vote to switch to Keystone,
Yes.
and right now, nothing would change except for,
I have a letter from them, which I can share later. They have 12 things that they want to know. And from my memory, I have it here, but I'm not good at grabbing things real quick. They want to know how far back you want to go. There's no statute of limitations, to my knowledge, in Pennsylvania. If you owe money in Pennsylvania, they can go back as far. But you could set a statute of limitation. Like, you only want to go back 10 years. Federal government has a statute of limitation of 10 years. If you owe them after 10 years, how do I know that? They sent money back to me because it was over the statute of limitation. So I got $9,000 back. So they should have kept it, but they didn't. But in business, you do what the federal government says to do. But Pennsylvania, to my knowledge, and this is where you have talked to the solicitor, and in one of my motions there in the prospectus, you see that I asked that it may have to be redrawn. And but check the codification. That's a copy. It's not a certified copy. But the mayor needs to be able to endorse or veto the codification for the record. In my opinion, that's entirely up to this council. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the privilege to present the prospectus to you.
thank you.
Everybody good?
There's a lot to look into on this. I already talked to Keystone about some stuff last fall.
Berkemeyer, if I can interject one more thing, Mr. President, has only given you under $50 for all their work.
Well, that's something that I think the council might be interested in, but I think we may need to talk about it a little bit more. Everybody agree? I mean, I think it's a good, but I would like to discuss it some more with the.
All right, unfinished business.
Do we have any more visitors, or isn't that the time for that?
Visitors?
Yes, well, I see you got the one building down. That's a good job. Which one's next?
The Clearfield Redevelopment Authority is working on that white one that's leaning and the one that's burned.
What, and where in the line is Sherrick's restaurant, what's left of it?
I don't know. All I know is those two right now.
Have you looked in there?
No.
Talk about blank buildings. Charlie restaurant is one wall,
Throwing trash in there and,
The roof fell in, yeah.
roof fell in, floor fell in,
Mm-hmm.
and what are you gonna do when the kids go in there and get killed? You know who they're gonna blame, they're gonna be Charlie. I've been down that road. Yeah, I know you can only do so many. But the more dangerous one, my opinion,
Oh, that's good.
okay, should be done first.
Mhm.
Like Shirley's and the burnt one. That one that's leaning is still standing. Roof's still there.
Yeah, Jack Carnes says as long as there's a roof, you know, when there's no roof, that's when you have the problem.
you're gonna start getting.
Exactly.
That's what he said, when there's no roof.
Well, the one that's leaning does have a roof.
Yeah.
So it's just something to think about.
Who decides on which ones go first, or is that us, or is that,
Well, right now, it's the redevelopment authority, because it's all in their hands.
alright,
But the meeting I went to the other night, we talked about some more things, and on how to get funding to go after more, that would be up to us then, and hand in hand with them, because they have,
well, there's quite a few in town, I mean,
yeah.
Actually, there was 10 on Main Street, now there's 9.
there might be some people.
I already counted them.
Living in too, but,
That started from Waltz, but not counting Waltz. Waltz in McCary Township.
That's right.
That's from that White House, right below Waltz, all the way down to the other end of Coalport. 9 buildings should be
demolished.
Your property owner should
Would
take
you like
something
me to
about
have Lisa Cavalli come and talk to people and explain to you the different, there's a lot of different ways to handle things, and she's the one that's well versed on that, not me.
Sure.
But I
Whenever
did
she's,
go to that preliminary
Yeah.
here for those particular funds, and they can be used along with other funds. Most grant money you can match.
okay.
But I'm glad you got one down. I started this a couple of years ago. Right, Mayor?
Oh, yes.
But yeah, I'm glad the one's down, because that was pretty bad, and bricks falling by his head going through there.
Yeah,
And
there's a
by
lot
the
of
way, that was
bricks falling
what?
off.
McNaldy's were the only ones that bid on it, and I don't remember what the percentage of the market value is, but, there wasn't taxes paid on that building for, I think it was like $20,000 worth of taxes backed up on it, and now it's back on the tax roll. And Lisa even came down the one day to make sure that they had leveled it off real nicely and seeded it, because that was in with the contract to do.
Yes.
And McNaldy's.
It looks a lot better there.
Oh, I know.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Moving along to unfinished business now. Well, it says, more money for auditors.
Remember I talked to you, there was another year, I tried calling them and they haven't gotten back to me. But it was $29.95, and then he thought it would be more because it wasn't done.
Getting an auditor is something we need to do soon.
Yeah,
we
it
can
isn't
start
done, it
getting
wasn't done the way the
grants.
auditors wanted it.
We're not able to get no grants right now because of it, right?
Correct,
They were expecting it to be on QuickBooks and it wasn't.
yes, that's correct.
How much more did they estimated it to be 4,000, right?
Oh, I can't remember.
That was the original,
That's, yeah.
and I thought it was 2,000 more.
$29.95 was the original per year. We have to get it done.
If we wanna be able to apply for grants or anything, I mean, that needs to be
They were the
done.
only ones that, they were the only ones that responded.
Well, I think it was 1,000 more, which would make it 4,000.
I think it was 4,000, yeah, it's,
Okay.
So you're saying we need a motion to,
Yes.
increased.
Come up with
the
it.
yeah.
I make a motion that we increase the amount of money we're gonna pay the auditor.
A second.
And you want to, yeah, you gotta second it. Nobody else is gonna do it. I mean, the audit,
It has to be done, like, I mean, it's not like,
And they're working on it, that's why I want to know how far they were with it, but
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now, need a motion to spend up to $200 on a new fridge. And that's for the building here, correct? The one out there is
and
no
little
good.
kitchenette right here. I thought it just, because of using less energy, we need a whole big one there.
Something
I
small.
thought I had priced those smaller ones. Some of the smaller ones even have a little freezer into them,
Mhm.
some don't, but
well, I can donate one if you want it. I've just got a little one given to me that I didn't want, so I can donate to the borough.
sure.
Okay.
I'd say it was $200.
$200, I'll bring it up tomorrow.
If you need help, I'll be off in the afternoon.
Carry the little refrigerator.
I'm gonna call the electric company and see if they'll give us $50 for this one.
There you go.
Remember, they say they do that, we'll
That's
see.
right.
We'll see.
Yeah, if you want it, I'll bring it up.
Thank you very much. You sure it works?
So that kind of nullifies that one, doesn't
Sure it works.
it? No. No.
No.
When it was given to me, they said it works, so I will have to plug it in. But
You can test it for me.
I will.
Okay. Now on to C, motion to hire Kirk McCulley to fix the hole by the CMA church. He did submit here an estimate.
Now, how did that hole get there anyway?
That you locked
I went
out.
over and looked at it, looked like somebody dug it. It did, I
It's
went over
just
and
like
looked.
that one problem.
Where did it come from?
There's different sinkholes that have happened over the years, I don't know.
Now, somebody must have been
Wonder if
throwing dirt in it.
Water from underground.
I did think that Kirk may have looked at it already, you know, before, because we couldn't afford to do any work whatsoever. But he had looked at it, maybe that's what you're saying. I saw the same thing.
Okay.
So here it is, says estimate only for machine labor repair, pipe going into the storm drain along the side by the CMA church. Coalport Borough will supply materials needed, payment due upon job completion. His estimate was $600.
Is it 600, you said?
Yes. He's asking if you.
That's us supplying the material.
Mhm.
Yeah. We have the material.
Oh, we already have it.
Yeah, we have it.
Where's that?
I make a motion to hire Kirk McCulley to repair the hole by the CMA church.
I second that. Kurt does good work. He does.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we are on to door at the end of the building. In the ramp. It says ARPA money. Is that saying it can be used for that?
Yes, I did find out that, the ramp, the one, ARPA money can be used because it's a safety issue, and you can use it for safety things. The door, I'm not so sure about, I'm gonna have to check on that one.
Did you find anything out about the door, Andy? You said maybe you might have been able to get one?
I have somebody looking,
Alright,
they said that they're not,
they
the
haven't.
way it is now, a lot of people aren't keeping old doors like they used to.
Alright.
They're looking for us.
Alright. And I talked to-
DNR.
I talked to Jack Carnes about what we need to do to make the ramp we got now up to code. And basically it needs to go completely and start all over. The landing needs to be 5 foot by 5 foot.
And we were thinking about running it along the building.
Yes, and we talked about maybe instead of going out into the parking lot, have it come straight down towards the road.
We'll have to go out there and look at it and talk about it, see what we can come up with.
But Jack told us what we'd have to, what all the specs are to make it up to code.
Did he write anything down for you?
No.
Okay, I'll get him to, because we'll have to have that forever who's going to do it. You don't have to bid it out. They just upped the bidding threshold to 11,800 this year. So if it falls under that, you can pick anybody you want. Over that, then you're gonna have to bid it out.
I think we talked about maybe some people donating their time and
Did he
Us guys
mention, are we allowed to make that out of wood? Did he?
he didn't tell me, but I could find out.
That would be good.
That would probably be quicker and
Yeah,
cheaper if you did make it out of,
yeah, if we go down along the building like we was looking at.
yeah.
We'll have to decide if that's where we
Check
want to
into
go.
that, would you talk,
Yep.
and see about the wood.
Yeah, and ask if he'll write something up for us.
All right. Just what the code is.
Yeah, and what the specifications would be.
Yep. I don't know if there's much we can do about that until we actually go out there and
You know, more
we're gonna need to get some prices and some,
And the lady who hit it, is offering to put money into it. They didn't wanna turn it into their insurance company.
all right.
So Pam gave me her name. I haven't opened the thing up or anything. But to wait and see, I guess, what it costs.
I guess we don't need it, we wouldn't need a motion just to get estimates or
Yeah.
prices.
Hopefully we can finish that next meeting.
Okay. Does anyone have anything else for the unfinished? And now we're on to new business. Motion to pay the bills.
And there's, the bank papers and a few bills in there. The, water bills and electric bills, there's 4 water bills, 5 electric bills, and they kind of peter in after each other. So I put in what's there, and there's a advertisement there also, I forget what it's about.
They're doing that again. They started doing that. I don't know why, because it's automatically drafted from our account.
They do.
They're leaving the last balance on there and making it look like we owe $1,100 for this month. Yeah, amount due $11,1650, but you paid $562.
What are you looking at, electric bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing that again. They did it over at Caught It last time.
Yeah. Well, what I do whenever I get mine, if I take that smaller number and I double it to see if it comes up to the large number, because that means 2 months, that's what you pay. For 2 consecutive months. That's what you're wondering about. Why the small number and then why the large number?
Yeah.
If you put the 2 small numbers together, you'll come out to the big number at the top.
What they do, Sean,
The bill's automatically withdrawn from us, so we never get a late fee from them. But whenever the new bill comes out, it has the old month's amount due on it, and it's added to the new month's amount due. So the top says $1,162 is due, but we only spent, or only had $500 and some dollars in electricity used last month.
who has the thing from the bank there?
You have it right now?
That's how I caught it, was the bank
That's how
statement.
they do it. If you have a little
Oh, I need to have a
If you have 1,100,
Can you
it's
just,
562 this month.
Okay, they just doubled it up like that then.
Yeah, you just cut that big number in half.
I wanted to know if that's what they took out last month. What-
Probably. That's what they did. But what about they make you thinking that you owe that big number,
Mhm.
but you don't, you know, we're not. You're on the same planet.
Do we need a motion to pay the bill? I make a motion to pay the borough bills.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have motion to hire Mason and Nelson Law Firm.
On the table for all the ads that I put in the progress and the action in there for my position was and the solicitor.
These are just the ads that she posted in the paper.
Yeah, 2 years expensive.
Is that the only one that submitted a letter of intent?
Yes.
We had a letter from Mr. Stance, is it? Or,
Oh, he declined.
right, he declined,
Who had a letter?
or Spring did.
He doesn't want to enter anything to that.
I don't just understand that, do you? You wanna enter your, that letter from?
It was just an email to me.
Right.
He didn't
Let it-
enter anything.
No.
He was my attorney,
Just letting him know that there was no interest in it.
but he had offered to do it for $125 an hour. But he feels after watching some of that you have a lot of issues that need to be addressed.
Vision Press Production believes, when the mayor refused the advice of the Honorable Daniel Stance, attorney at law, and highly qualified, he was offended. Council could have organized in January 2022, saving $2,598 of legal fees caused by Mayor Madalena's, you add the word.
In January 2022, Attorney Stance was willing to be Coalport Borough Solicitor at a fee of $125 per hour. Attorney Stance is a Doctor of Jurisprudence from Duquesne University School of Law, a veteran with rank of Major in the Air Force, and graduated magna cum laude in 2005. Attorney Stance would have given expert opinion to save money for the borough instead of billing $2,598 for poor results. Losing 5 months of council work and appointing 2 tax evaders to council is setting the borough for failure. $2,598 is over the 2022 borough budget. Attorney Dr. Stance was willing to serve the electorate, citizens, and taxpayers of Coalport Borough in January 2022. It appears, Mayor Madalena intentionally refused Attorney Dr. Stance counsel so that she could ensure 2 tax evaders would be appointed to Coalport Borough in the opinion of former 2022 Councillor-elect Reverend Gerald W. Spade, Sr.
the ones that replied,
The one that was here.
okay, well, the motion to hire Mason and Nelson lawfully.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion.
Yeah, I got her.
I second it.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're now on to motion to purchase 2 signs for building up to $200.
That's the 2 signs saying that the door's here, then where the door is.
When
For like the
it
entrance
used to
thing?
be, this office was over there and you could hear somebody at the door. So I keep it locked now because I can't hear anybody, but if they come to here, I can. And I was out looking at that today, well, back up a minute, but if you can put a sign back here saying that the entrance is on the front, and then a sign saying, I went out and looked around today and there's some work needs done out there. There's still an old sign up at the top that says Glendale Medical Center. And it needs cleaned up around there because they only use it as an exit right now. So, but it could be made to look nice, to be the entrance. The number is out there, the 961. But,
And then the sign in the back here, it says Coalport Borough Offices,
yeah,
can be taken down.
take it off and just let,
Right.
people use it. That needs cleaned up there, but if this is made the entrance, it really needs some work on it. Maybe even some paint and the bottom strips off the door and things and.
Well, we just interviewed 2 energetic men, so they say.
I'll get the signs if you don't mind. And I will try to keep it as absolutely low as possible. And frugal.
Make a motion to purchase 2 signs for the building.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Vote on and sign report about traffic control study from Minute Mart.
Okay.
That's right here.
Yeah, that's a lot of pages, I didn't make copies.
What is this? Don't tell me you want a stoplight down there.
No, we want to be like fallen timber, we want a red light.
Won't be worst thing happening.
I called PennDOT about this. And right now, I don't know if you're aware, they're going to double the size. They're going to tear the building down and double the size of the Minute Mart. There'll be over 5,000 square feet in it. And right now, they're of course in the preliminary and the traffic study and the in and out and all that kind of stuff. So when this man contacted me, I called PennDOT. They did get back to me and he said, from what they've done, everything is okay. They'll have to sign it. This guy's saying you have to sign first and then PennDOT will. And he said, I said, well, nobody here really knows probably how to read them. And he said, well, we'll have your engineer. And I said, we don't have one. Normally, at the beginning of each year, each borough, each municipality would retain an engineer for when you need them. You don't need one every week, So you might want to consider that because of this and the building that's going to be going on. Plus, you are going to need one for the bridge. You won't. She made it very clear to me the other night that has to be an engineer with that.
We talked about that last week.
Is there a fee to retain the engineer?
Pardon?
Is there a fee for like a retaining fee?
I don't know. I would have to contact different ones to see. Do you recall if there ever was with?
There wasn't before, but like I said, we combined it with BCIMA. And I don't remember the fee.
No, it was different.
Was somebody complaining about the traffic or something?
But
No, it's just,
no.
that's what they do. That's just
They have to have a permit to go onto the property and change the entrances.
Do you want
We
me
don't know how
to,
to read this, we don't know how to read those records.
do you want me to contact some?
Yeah, I would.
I think if we're gonna need one,
Okay, how many do you want me to?
Well, the main thing is, you should contact BCIMA to see whose theirs is, because, you know, we have the same water.
I think it's Stifler McGraw.
Is it, it probably is. So whatever we
I'll do
used
that
to
right
do,
away
we
this
always
week.
did it with them.
When you saying there's some things to vote on right away when you can get them here.
So now we need a motion for you to contact them, correct?
To what?
To contact engineers
No.
before
No,
signing or no?
No, I'll just do it for you, won't you,
Okay.
to vote on that until it's,
Check with BCIMA first.
Yeah, I wrote that
Then,
down.
do you guys have anybody else that you want her to ask?
anybody
You know.
familiar with any other firms?
No, I mean, I'd say maybe get at least 3, if you can find 3.
See what they charge, and there from there, I'll call them up there. And don't know anybody locally, do you? Magnus Engineering Firm. So I don't know if you would rather not sign that tonight.
I don't think we should.
Like an engineer to,
And if you people want me to make copies for everybody, I can do that, I just didn't do it because it. Did you guys all want a copy of that then?
that's fine.
Just keep it.
Whenever you say.
You make one, me and Craig can share.
I think I did put that colored one in your packets last time, didn't I, on the top? Or was it the drawing of
I think those are the drawings.
size? Yeah, this one
Those
just
are
came in, that
drawings.
was, yeah, that one's been here for a while. And still haven't found out, I tried to find out, but there's no decision on the liquor license yet.
Nittany would come and show you and explain everything if you want them.
Is this the time that we could, go ahead and add, about the interviews we conducted?
Oh, or did you wanna hire tonight then?
I would, yeah.
Okay, yeah, then
As long as-
you'll have to make a motion on adding that to the agenda. Then you can do that.
I'd like to make a motion to add the 2 individuals that were interviewed earlier during executive session. I'd like to add having them being hired pending their acceptance of the borough's wages and hours and personnel policy to the agenda tonight.
And then what, salary, and what else did you say?
Their salary,
Hours.
their hours, and the personnel policy we have in place.
And she'll be receiving a copy of.
I second the motion to add that to the agenda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You wanna probably motion both of them separately, one then the other.
So how do you wanna do something like
So who did you do first?
I did
Jude.
Joe,
General?
yep.
Motion to hire Joe DeGennaro at a rate of $11 an hour for 35 hours a week.
As long as he agrees to the personnel policy.
Yeah, as long as he agrees.
Second.
Any second.
It wasn't clear, but if you think he's a good guy, I'll second it.
He is, he is.
All in favor?
Very serious.
Aye.
Opposed?
We'll see what happens if he, what he says he is.
And I'll make a motion to hire Stephen Erb at a rate of $11 an hour, $35 a week, pending his approval of the hours and wages.
Is that the second
The real guy.
Andy seconded it.
Yeah, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we are now to mayor's report.
You received, that's what we were passing, no, I guess not. It's this one here. Jeez, got so many papers.
Sorry about that.
In your borough code, the subchapter D on solicitor, if you turn to that, that'd be chapter, actually chapter 11. And you'll see that it says for outside counsel, and this is what I did. In the case of a legal dispute between the mayor and council, or in any other case in which representation of the mayor and council by the borough solicitor would create a conflict of interest, for the solicitor, the mayor may employ outside counsel at borough expense, not to exceed $4,000 in any 12-month period. That's the section that I took and took upon myself then to go with the Mason Nelson law firm. Do they have the fee?
Everybody has one of these, yeah.
You all have this one, this paper here.
Yep.
Okay. And you see how we documented all the rates, and I did, I think at one time I said 125 each. He didn't. He charged 135. So that was my error. Coming to a total of $2,598.75 for all the work he's done. And you can see he itemized each day and how long he put on each day. Okay?
Mhm.
So I'm asking that at this time, council pay that bill. According to that part of the borough code.
Seems right. Make a motion to pay the man.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
And that's it.
And that's all I had
So
for
you have-
tonight. Yeah, that was enough tonight. What time is it? Okay.
So I have something.
Mhm.
I don't know if you people are aware, but, well, you probably are because you live up here. There was, one of the neighbors up here was setting off, I think, illegal fireworks the other night. And I talked to several of the neighbors, told me about it, and they said that there were actually pieces, I don't know anything about fireworks. I don't know what would have been flying that was still lit. You guys might know, I don't know. But, I guess it became dangerous because some of them that were flying around to the different houses were still lit.
Yeah.
I thought it was our neighbors there in Rosebud doing. I didn't realize it was all the way up here, because it was so loud.
Yeah, my dogs are going nuts.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know why those people do that, because they have their own animals, but, and same people, are still on occasion letting their dogs loose, and they're pooping around. Somebody's dog pooped on Elfrida Irvin's sidewalk. She had a mess to clean up, and I forget who else told me in another house. It might have been at the pizza shop, I'm not sure, but it was near Elfrida's place. So either they have them on a leash and they're walking them and not taking something to clean them up, or they're stray dogs, I don't really know. But it's becoming a problem, not just, I guess, up here, but down there. So, I guess this place down here has quite a few animals that they shouldn't.
The only one for down there, is the, I don't want to say dog catcher, but who do I contact for the turkey and the chickens and so forth?
She said she only does dogs. She's the
Animal control
officer. She doesn't do cats and other
Well,
animals.
how can she pick and choose her job?
You're
If
a
she
dog
works
catcher,
for the county, she should be
Well,
animal
she's
control.
Yeah, what kind of animal, you're not a,
She's two counties,
Animal
I think,
control
Jefferson and
But
Clearfield.
that still doesn't make it issue.
I don't know if that's what the
I
job
mean,
is.
if it doesn't smell good, would she start picking guns up and leaving something like that?
But we do have an ordinance about these things. I
How you gonna enforce it?
suggest that in the near
How
future,
you gonna enforce it?
Well, I
we start
called
looking
her.
into an
And,
ordinance officer.
We'd have to hire somebody or something,
Well, I
or
noticed in the
appoint
paper,
somebody.
yeah, in the paper, some of the municipalities share one. So I don't know if law has one.
Quickly, unless we would hire somebody or something, I don't know what we could do.
Kervin's an appointed one,
You
didn't
can't
he?
afford it, you can't afford it, but you can all afford it. That could be the solution right there.
I thought I'd call around, if you don't mind, and see who does have them. I forget who I read in the paper, but I know some of them just hired some new ones too.
Check Madera, Houtzdale, Grampian.
Kervinsville appoints in their own jurisdiction
That's what I thought.
an animal control
Yeah.
person. He does cats too, I
I
think.
think he does all of them.
Doesn't pick and choose.
step up
Well, you
hard.
have an ordinance officer, they're gonna have to, go.
Plenty of cats up around.
If you look in the codification that I gave you, there should be something that addresses it. The old ordinance that allowed the cows to run free during certain hours, that's not in the codification.
It is in this codification that we did, this last one, it's in the codification. I can't remember which number it is now. But, yeah, she only does dogs.
Did she work for the county?
No, it's not in the animal stage,
I think she's contracted to the county,
Oh,
and so
okay.
she sets the
Not
terms.
just if you're an animal control officer.
And then,
you know,
I
you
think
She
she's
extends noise
quite
ordinance,
familiar
yeah.
with the name.
then you can call the SPCA, she said, for the other ones too, that they have a control officer too.
To try that route. Come get the turkey.
There's an inventory in the back there of the ordinances that they don't specifically address, but they attached it to the codification.
Come get the turkey and the ducks.
Unfortunately, 190 was not attached, so.
Does anyone have anything else?
When are you considering changing the bank name, the name?
Oh, jeez, I forgot. This could have been twice as long, guys. So as soon as you can get another meeting going, we have other things to vote on. So,
No, if you could decide on that tonight, because we already had discussed on their cell that we needed a pro tem. And, Sean volunteered his time to be the pro tem.
You can't vote on it, I can't vote on anything that isn't on the agenda, unless it's,
So we'll be on the next agenda.
you know, along with those couple other things that you have on that
Okay.
paper too.
Well, I could put on the agenda, there's several places around here that have mountains of garbage bags sitting out.
You know, code enforcement. So she could send all the letters in the world,
Yeah.
but if it isn't backed up with somebody going to the magistrate,
The Department of Health has something against that, No.
I don't know.
when that
I never contacted them.
when that house was, the one between Josie's and the CMA
Mhm.
church, when my son lived there, there was 1.5 foot of raw sewage in there, in the basement for a long time.
Yeah, they didn't have that.
And it was bad. I had to quit going in to even visit, because it was bad. People moved out, because they were getting sore throats and stuff. He got a lawyer and took it to the magistrate, and Sam Fogel came up, and, 'cause he wouldn't fix it. Mike didn't have to pay 2 years of rent. 2 years that stuff was in there like that.
That's gonna draw rats, I guarantee you.
Called the health department, called Camille George, he got on the health department, it was on a 3-way call, and he was really, well, you know how he talked
Mhm.
with them, because they said, no, that was local, and they didn't have anything to do with it, and
We definitely don't have a bunch of Camille Jorders around now.
That's right.
Anything else?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, I mean.
Second by Andy.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
We're gonna adjourn